All right, guys, we are coming from Memphis, Tennessee. Just set up a lot of properties for you guys down that way. We're making our way to Houston, going to Searcy, Arkansas right now. But we're traveling through this little town right here. Parking welcomes you. And you know who else welcomes you guys? Truck Parking Club. We don't care who you are, what you drive. We've got parking available for all of you. Check us out. Download that app, guys. Pitter patter, y'all. Let's get at her.
What's going on, everybody? Trickling in on here. Welcome to another edition of the Truck Parking Clubhouse. Happy Memorial Day out there to everybody. I hope you're enjoying yourselves a nice long weekend. Before we get rolling, just would be remiss to not put it out there to remember those men and women who've worn the uniform to serve our country in the United States. And who fought for the freedoms and ideals that we cherish and hold so greatly. Again, Memorial Day is definitely important to me, myself, when I think about it. Having lost a very good friend of mine who was KIA on December 21st, 2010, in a roadside bomb attack. And I can tell you personally, himself, Billy, he wouldn't want Memorial Day to be about him. He'd want it to be, would want it to be for people to enjoy. He wouldn't want like some sort of credit for it, but he's got to get all the credit. And kind of one of the things that I just do every single day I wake up is do everything I can to be somebody worth sacrificing for. So whatever that means to you, whatever that sounds like, I think that's a great way to kind of go into the week to reflect on today is whatever your role is, especially in the supply chain or whatever you're doing, try to be somebody worth sacrificing, try to be somebody worth being sacrificed for. And so think about that when you're engaging with people, when things are getting tough, when things are getting hard, to let your resilience shine above all else, because they let theirs shine in the best way. But so hope everyone's having a safe holiday weekend. Like I said, we're gonna be up here every Monday night running the Truck Parking Clubhouse back, just talking trucking, bringing our partners on who are out there helping us on our mission of the truck parking shortage, and just having good conversations with them, getting to know what they're up to, and talking about some of the issues that we cover in the Taillights newsletter. And I've got a very good friend of mine who's a warrior out there over the road, Mr. Chris Tackett himself.
What's up, buddy?
Good afternoon. I almost said good morning.
It's all right. Yeah, we're a little late in the day for that.
Yeah, a little bit. So where are you at?
So I am currently at the Cloverdale Marathon rest stop off of I-70 in Cloverdale, Indiana. I am broke down. So wouldn't be a proper Memorial Day if good old Tackett didn't have a breakdown on it. So
okay, so this is a common Memorial Day occurrence?
It is. The last 3 years, I've either had blowouts or I've had roadside called out the last 3 Memorial Days. So it's just kind of in the books. That's how we're running it these days.
So what happened with this breakdown?
So I just had my truck in for PM, needed a new pigtail. The electrical lines and air lines running from the cab to the trailer. It was my own fault. They left them binded up a little too loose, and I was backing out of a Love's earlier. Jackknife didn't realize it, and the catwalk caught the pigtails, ripped the electrical unit off the trailer, and severed my airline. So I actually ran probably close to 100 miles. That's my guess, because that's where I pulled off at the Love's, dragging my electrical line. It was rubbed all the way down to the pins. It looks pretty gnarly. Well, I sent you the pictures of it. But yeah, I had no idea. My air was holding up okay on my clusters, and I got to the spring to get loaded. I haul water, for those of you that don't know, and heard the air leak, got out and looked, and was like, well, ain't that something?
Damn, that's tough. And nobody, no shouts on the CB radio at all. Nobody was like, "Hey, no. Driver, you're dragging."
No, and I absolutely run a CB. I'm more so thankful because I was still in Ohio when I pulled off the Loves, and anybody that's been running Ohio today, troopers were out everywhere. Troopers, DOT, Mickey's, all of them. Literally every U-turn on the highway. They just had all kinds of troopers out. Now, Indiana hasn't been that bad today, but after dragging that, I was kind of shocked I didn't get stopped.
Yeah, because normally, I mean, and for those who are on TikTok, if you're familiar with Teddy, she's one of her call signs. Whenever she's out there, you better watch out in the Buckeye. That's she makes those
The
videos.
Buckeye Bears.
Yeah, them Buckeye Bears. Says you better watch out for the Buckeye. And
I thought of her today because I actually ran right by that rest area on 71 South. That she's always talking about. She's always warning people don't pull in there. It's right outside of I think Mansfield or somewhere just south of Mansfield. She's always telling people don't pull in there. Yeah, and that trooper was in there today, boy, with somebody pulled over again.
Because they'll pull in and give you an inspection like off the rip.
Yep. Yeah, they won't follow you in there. They'll pull in there and just light you up.
Yeah, so just south of Mansfield. We got to get that on the record. South of Mansfield, Ohio. Don't stop at that rest stop unless absolutely necessary.
Yep.
So let's you're in the clubhouse. So what's your trucking story, man? What kind of how we get here? Quick little couple minutes. What got you hauling water?
Just a quick rundown. So I actually worked in corporate America it was about 10 years, climbing the ladder, doing the whole rat race thing. Ended up leaving the company I was at as an operations manager. It was kind of a toxic environment. We made packaging. We manufactured packaging equipment and made the consumables that ran on the packaging equipment. So polyethylene bags, basically. Started off as an equipment specialist doing sales, worked my way up into management. Like I said, I was there about 10 years and it just burned me out, man. I had to find something different, but to anybody that's out there that has seen or knows kind of what I have going on, I also host a podcast called The Jungle. I'm a convicted felon who has turned his life around, and I have other guys and girls who are felons. But it was hard for me to find another job as an operations manager leaving Poly where I was at. Went on a bunch of interviews. The felon question kept coming up. So I kind of got frustrated, and my wife and I talked, and she was like, you like trucking, or she was like, you like traveling. She said, you've always wanted to kind of go over the road. She was like, why don't you just get your CDL and be a truck driver? So I remember we took a trip to Tampa, Florida, and literally on the flight home, she could tell all that like anxiety and everything just kind of set back in, that I was going to have to go back to work at that place. And my wife's a gangster, man. She literally grabbed my hand and told me, she said, we are going to put you in CDL school. She said, today when we get home, you're quitting your job. We're going to go clean out your office. And that was on a Sunday. It was a family trip we had taken to Tampa. And so that afternoon we landed. We loaded up her truck, went down. I cleaned all my office out and wrote the owner an email, dropped my keys in the mailbox and said, hey, it's you, it's not me, I'm out. And I quit and went to CDL school, and I've been doing this ever since. I started off with a company called J-Rail out of Akron, Ohio. Did that for about 6 months to a year. That was running mostly furniture and tires to Chicago from Akron, Ohio. And then while I was running through Indiana, I was pulled over one night, and a ad for Aqua Logistics popped up on my phone. So I know I reached out to them. At first, they require 2 years experience, and I was sitting at about a year, I think just around a year at that point. And they ended up getting an underwriter to write me onto their insurance program. They brought me on. I ran power for CAG, running chicken fat with them it was about 6 months, and then they brought me over to the water division, and I've been hauling spring water ever since.
Dude, that's awesome. I can tell you, great piece of advice right there, especially for anybody with families. I mean, similar conversation. Like that's how you kind of know you're with the right partner. Where at the end of the day, it's like your happiness is what matters the most, and that's definitely been a conversation. Like I'm sure, I'll tell you. Like I just personally, I mean, could I be making, double what I maybe make? Could I be making double what I made in trucking? Sure. And did I make more when I was at the warehouse? Like, were there some times when I was like working at my warehouse job where my monthly paycheck was higher than when I was trucking, sure, but who I was as a person was completely different. And
Yeah.
so that's what's and that's way more important than any paycheck, is like the person you're going to be, like who are they to be, like the person you're going to be spending time with is a lot more valuable, like, and who they are, what they're like to be around, is way far supersedes kind of
Yeah.
the paycheck that they're bringing home.
I am a huge proponent of mental health, especially in the workforce. If you can't take care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, you're a wreck, man. And I was a prime example of what happens when you do not take care of yourself. And luckily, like I said, I caused some. I went through a real dark period, um, going through all that. But luckily, my wife's, like I said, man, she's a gangster. She held the fort down, and we got through it. And now I'm 100 times better, man. I love being out here compared to what I used to do. I will say I am not a veteran out here on the road. I don't want to give that false um, illusion to anybody, but I enjoy it, man. Compared to what I had to deal with back in the day, and compared to what my hardest day is now, something like this where I'm having to sit on the side of a road for 3 hours, it's not that bad, man. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I've been there too. I've been side of 35, pouring rain, fixing hose clamps, like pitch black with my hazards on, the triangles out, and it gets kind of dicey. But
Yeah,
man, would I prefer that over counting pipe or getting railed over customer service score from
yeah,
another previous employer? Like, I'd rather be out on the firing line doing stuff like that. I'd rather be, yeah, helping people, doing a job with a little bit of a sense of purpose than ever getting tied into it. I mean, speaking of issues like breakdowns and stuff like that, what it's always good to ask. When's the first time you heard of Truck Parking Club? And what are some issues you've seen? What do you think about truck parking basically nationwide? But yeah, when's the first time you had heard of Truck Parking Club?
first time I heard of it was when we were all down at Matt's. What was that? 2 years ago. And he was walking around. What's the who's that guy? What's his name?
You talking about
Uh,
Hunter?
I think it was Hunter. He was the guy that was down there with the backpack on that lit up.
Oh, that was definitely Hunter.
Yeah, and I pulled him aside, and I was like, he had been kind of running around with all of us that night, and I pulled him aside. I was like, "Tell me what you got going on here," and he explained it. Um, I think it's a great thing, man. I Most of my routes are dedicated, but I know I do run some kind of like off. They've been throwing me down to Florida periodically and having to go up to New York periodically, and it's out of my wheelhouse now that I haven't been over the road for such a long period of time. I've been literally Dayton, Ohio to Chicago all week, every week, you know. So I know where my pull offs are. I know where to stop. I know how to run my clock. But getting outside of your wheelhouse on that and being over the road, I'll tell you, um, parking's hard to find, man. And I think you guys are filling a niche with this truckparkingclub.com. I'm just sitting here looking at all the locations on the map behind us. You're up to 1972 at this point.
Which that label down there is outdated. I'm still trying to figure out the streaming service. It's up to 2000 at this point. So
Okay.
I mean, it's bumped up since last week. Bringing properties on board.
But it does get frustrating out here. I will tell you, even being dedicated, this route from Dayton to Chicago, let me bump it back a little bit further east from Columbus to Chicago, because obviously I come down from North Canton to Columbus, then head over. I think every rest area at this point, aside from a spotty few that might have 5 to 10 spots for trucks to park along that entire route. Now you're talking probably close to over 1,000 miles, and there's no truck stops. They're all shut down. Who in their right mind thought that it was okay to shut down every truck stop on I-70 east and westbound to revamp them all at the same time is out of their mind, dude. Like, where do you think? And then you pull off on the side of a ramp, and you've literally got trucks lined. Municipalities are putting up no parking signs, and they're ticketing people now for parking on the on and off ramps. So then you've got trucks like filling up just Sam's Club and Costco's and everywhere else off the freeway. Nobody really thought that through. So truckparkingclub.com has come through at a good point, I would say. I mean, you can find places to park. It's just, you know me, man. I park at Planet Fitnesses a lot. I go back and forth with some of those toe-op guys about parking illegally and catch me if you can. But no, man, it's a good program you guys got there. I'm definitely proud to be associated with you guys. So
yeah, it's the ultimate tool for the toolbox. I mean, I covered it in the newsletter that drops tonight. I mean, there was an accident in Illinois, back in 2023, where a bus driver had struck trucks that were parked on an exit ramp in Illinois, and it led and three people on the bus had died, and the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, determined that it was trucks parked illegally on the exit ramp. Now, it's not the driver's fault. It was never.
No.
You can't blame the truck drivers for doing what they were quite literally forced to do. I mean, they were just doing their job, trying to stay within the hours of service, but they didn't have anywhere to go. And again, these are the results of the truck parking crisis. It not only costs drivers time and money, it can cost lives, it's pretty nuts. But that's what it like. You're on a dedicated run, but you run into breakdowns, you run into certain other issues. It's just, we had this happen with another one of our partners. He couldn't deliver to a place early, and the truck stop was full. Cops were ticketing guys on the shoulder. We had a property that was 2 miles from his receiver. And, he had used the weekly promo code you can get in our newsletter, and was able to get himself booked a spot and hung out there for a few hours, and that was it. So it's just a tool for the toolbox.
You guys have some nice properties on there too. I have gone on and browsed. You've got some spots that have showers and lounges and all kinds of stuff on there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, not all properties are built the same. Like, yeah, some have more than others. And I think as we continue to grow, I think our property members are going to realize how they are realizing, and they are learning every day, because a lot of our property members obviously before coming on board didn't know that truck parking was an issue. Like, people didn't really know until they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I see them on off ramps. And then all of a sudden they find out about it, and then they realize how many trucks are actually parking at their property. And they're like, oh, yeah. I could add bathrooms. I can add this, and I can kind of boost up the amenities to make themselves more competitive to be at, and which helps everybody out in the long run. So it's been fascinating to watch. But
you guys are definitely filling a need out there. So
that's what it's all about. It's all about the mission. And speaking of, I bring up that NTSB, that accident in 2023. I mean, in the other previous newsletter, I mean, I talked about an issue, and I got a lot of feedback on this, and I wanted to hear your take. But we were talking big on this. So the CVSA, which is a nonprofit, basically,
it's like a watchdog group.
Yeah, they're like you can call them like a think tank. I don't really know how to describe them, but they want to revamp. They want to revamp personal conveyance, so to speak. Like, in their mind, they want to, because I'm just bringing up the newsletter now. Yeah, the CVSA, they want to crack down on personal conveyance. They think Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance is a nonprofit organization consisting of local state officials and industry representatives, whatever that means, that compiles data in order to lobby to Congress and the FMCSA. So they collected. I got so much feedback. I got emails, texts. I got a phone call from a driver, because I leave my contact open. And for anybody out there watching, if you subscribe to the newsletter, my contact information is in there. You can reply. If you reply directly to my newsletter, it goes right to me. I read and reply to every single response I get. And it got so much feedback because they collected data from 41,000 roadside inspections, and they're convinced that the use of PC is on the rise. And the federal crash data shows companies hiring drivers who don't use PC properly are 4 times more likely to get into an accident and have a higher out of service rate. I think that's one of those cases where correlation isn't necessarily causation, because it doesn't ask the question of why people are using PC in the first place, why they have to, and the issues around it. Because I personally, like when it came to PC, and I don't. It's just this is something that I did. I'm not condoning it, but I would deliver in Ontario, California, and then I would pick up in Carson, California, and almost every single time it would have been impossible for me to get from Carson back to Ontario, at least the the TA or Petro in Ontario. It would have been literally impossible. It'd be just because there was nothing in the area, and I probably could have parked. There's trucks that do park on the streets, but I don't want to park in Compton. Like I don't want to park my truck in Compton because that's basically where Carson is at. I would want to either at least get back to the TA or Petro, like get back to safety, and you would never have enough hours to get back there. So yeah, I was loaded and used PC, out there, DOT, come, you can come bang down my door if you want after fessing that up. But I had no other options. And in that case, am I in the wrong? I don't think so.
Well, let me lead this off with, first and foremost, this CVSA or whatever. So I'm sitting here looking at lead agency contacts on my iPad, and you've got one delegate, it looks like, from each state. And a lot of these people, obviously it doesn't give their credentials in there. I would be first and foremost inclined and interested to find out how much time any of these people have behind the wheel of a semi truck. I'm going to start off with this because this is what pisses me off most about these watchdog groups like the CVSA and what's the other one, the CSA, is you have a bunch of bureaucrats in there that think that they're on board with passing laws and they're actually protecting the population, they're protecting the roadways, when actually none of these guys have a lick of common sense of what it takes to be behind the wheel of a semi truck. They have no idea what truck drivers endure while we're out here. They have no idea about what kind of toll hours of service takes on people. And they're literally just in here to what? They're here to enforce more rules and enforce more laws in an industry where we're already basically buckled down. Like they have us by the throats from the get-go out here. Second off, I mean, as far as PC is concerned, there's a big gray area on PC. So a lot of my every location, every delivery I go to, they're all basically considered hubs. We store our equipment there, right? Like we store our tankers there, we deliver there, we pick up, we drop off there. There's quite a bit of times where I am either PCing to the hub from the hub, but it's a gray area because now my hub is also my delivery location. You know what I mean? So at what point, and I know it all is going to boil down to whether I got the right officer on the wrong day or wrong officer on the right day, as far as what's going to happen as far as when I get pulled over and I'm running this PC on my log. Now, do I abuse it? Absolutely not. Any PC that I ever use, I am fully capable of explaining the twos, froms, whys, and hows. But does it happen? Yeah. I just, overall, I think for another watchdog group to get in like the CVSA and want to start cracking down on personal conveyance, I mean, how do you even crack down on personal conveyance at this point? Like, what? It's already at the DOT officer's discretion. Like, they're the judge, jury, and executioner when you're out here.
Yeah, what they want specifically, which is, I think, like absolutely. I can't even think of the word draconian. That's the word I'm thinking of. Like what they want is they want to prohibit time spent in PC from counting as off duty at all. So they don't want PC being off duty, even though that's what it is. Like if
that makes no sense. So basically, when I pull in here, say that I dock my truck here right now, and I have to go to the grocery store. So because I'm gonna unhook my trailer and take my rig down the street to a Walmart, now I have to go on duty and reset my 36-hour reset because I need to go get groceries because I live out here? No. And again, like I stated to begin with, You have a bunch of bureaucrats that get in here and they think that they're going to make change. And the problem is a lot of these guys think that it makes sense. And from a paper standpoint, it makes sense. I tell my driver manager this all the time. I'm like, when they're trying to deal with like production schedules where we're delivering this water, he'll call me and say, hey, this is what we need. This is what you're taking up there. And I said, well, that looks good on paper, but it's never going to read long term. And it never pans out. And it's the same thing with these watchdog groups, the CVSA, the CSA. You've given them too much overreach, and all they do is they hurt things even more. They're running an industry into a ground that's already basically got the government on its neck. You know, like the government's literally standing here with their foot on our neck already, and you're just giving these guys more leniency to just continue beating us down. That doesn't even make sense.
It does. I mean, I'd be curious to see how much, because like the CVSA, I don't know how many motor carriers are actually present in it. At least when it comes to like it should be like, because at least like, so OIDA and TXTA. So, and I know the carrier members of TXTA. I know motor carriers who are members of OIDA, and it's like, so when it comes to these orgs that are compiling the data, what's their motive? So I think
isn't OIDA kind of like a they kind of look out for truck drivers, like they're I thought they were more so like an advocate for truck drivers.
Oh yeah, like OIDA would be is definitely probably completely against this. And so like when I ask, I'm curious, when it comes to these organizations, the CVSA, like their claim, they're under the guise of highway safety. But really ask yourself why, like everybody's got
Mike, give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, go for it. So kind of just talking off this while he talks to the mechanic. Just like this CVSA has a motive, and it can't be, nobody's out there doing something for free. There's nobody who's going to do this research, look at 41,000 roadside inspections, say, oh, we're going to do this for free because we just care so much about highway safety. There's a monetary value to this they want, and I'm curious how much of the insurance world is kind of bought into some of these watchdog groups, some of these safety groups, with their recommendations.
Well, and to be honest with you, a lot of these groups are 501(c)(3)s, so they're nonprofit groups that are making boatloads of money and paying out outlandish salaries to their boards and their employees to make these rules. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely money involved. I think you should leave the lawmaking up to the FMCSA.
I'll head back here, left turn.
You don't need all these. At this point, there's how many different watchdog groups out there policing what we do. I mean, the CSA, they can come in and audit you at any point and have all of your information sent to them to where they don't even have to do an in-person audit. It's an overreach of just overstepping their boundaries. You know?
It's not in their wheelhouse. I think the worst recommendation I have, and this is why I absolutely I almost tossed my table when I read this, but one of their requests is they want to request official written guidance that states it is not acceptable to continue driving after reaching an hours of service limitation to get to a safe haven because of no available parking. Like that right there.
But that takes away the whole purpose of personal conveyance.
And safe and finding a safe haven.
I mean, I don't have those full cords.
So for those of you guys watching, Chris is getting his breakdown situation.
If he can get me through the week, that's all I'm.
Yeah, if you're tuning in, he had an issue with his pigtails.
Do I have a what?
Truck brake set.
Truck brake. Oh yeah.
Release the trailer.
We're on the ground right now with Chris Tackett. He's getting his pigtails fixed. He had an issue earlier. For those of you guys just jumping in on the live, he has a somewhat breakdown. His electrical cable had gotten pulled out. We're talking about the CVSA, who wants to petition the FMCSA to make some changes to PC. But the idea of not being able to use PC to actually find a safe place to park, again, we're talking about an issue where if they don't find a safe place to park, it could cost people their lives. Like it can wind up, it's a wrong place, wrong time scenario. It's not that it's the driver's fault that they're parked someplace unsafe. I don't think drivers are out there being like, it's my couch, like, F your couch, and just being like, I'm going to park where I want. I don't think drivers are maliciously. I don't think maybe there's one, I could be wrong. There could be one guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to park where it makes people mad. But I don't think people are really, I don't think American truck drivers are out there being like, how can I inconvenience somebody by my parking today?
We're out here trying to survive. And I can tell you the worst feeling in the world is pulling into a truck stop when you know your clock, and you know this feeling. You pull into a truck stop, your clock's down to its last couple minutes, and there's nowhere to park. You know what I mean? So at that point, what do? You have to pull over on the side of the road, or you have to put it in PC. And I think that's another issue too, is these people that start these watchdog groups. I think they go into this with the best intentions. Obviously, I would really hope that at this point, even though it seems like it in the trucking industry, that most of these groups go in with just malicious intent pretty regularly. I would at least like to think that people come in with the best of intentions. But I don't think they take the time to step back and look at the whole picture. And just like you were talking about, we were just talking about a couple minutes ago about the accident in Illinois or Indiana, where it was, where the bus ran up on the semi that was parked on the road, killed a bunch of people. You know what I mean? That driver was not trying to park on the side of the road to be a nuisance. He literally ran out of his hours of service. Like, he ran out of his time. Parks on the side of the road, people die because of it. And these people, they're not taking the whole picture into consideration, man. I think it's a terrible idea round and round. I don't know. You've heard the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Please show me where in these guidelines or where in general that the personal conveyance feature is broke,
Exactly. I mean, I'll quote one of our other great friends. I mean, Matt Fouts. I asked him a question once, like, what would be one thing he would change about the industry? Like, what's one thing that you could change, or one thing you need to do? And he was like, and his answer was, we need to stop changing anything. He was just like, we should just stop. He's like, wherever we're at, just draw a line in the sand. Let that be that. Let everybody just learn that and figure it out, and figure out the current issues. Like, don't stop changing anything, especially when it comes to, like, if we want our highways to be safer, we need more truck parking. Off the bat, like, let's solve that first before we start being like, oh, what can we change? What more can we do? Like, you can never regulate yourself into being more safe. Like, I just don't think that you can regulate it more and more. In terms of equipment, maybe there's less safe, obviously there's equipment that you don't want to be unsafe overall. Like, if there's certain, you don't want stuff hanging, like, that's why you have standards. And if there's a better form of equipment, or if there's better technology, where if the vehicle is involved into an accident, it can reduce, the cause of death or reduce the risk of injury, like that stuff, I think you can kind of like go into making certain regulations for, but not changing the entire job when you remove that PC. Again, like you said, grocery shopping. I mean, one of the other things that they want to recommend is official written guidance that's stating an owner operator can't use his personal conveyance to return or leave home. The owner operator, that's you telling a business owner what they can and cannot do. Like, it's a business owner. It's like it makes no sense. Like, no other brick and mortar, no other business is regulated on the control of their, especially if they own the asset. Like, if I own the land, that, like, say I own a warehouse and I own the land, you can't tell that person what to do. Like, how are you going to tell a private business on what they can and cannot do in that regard? I don't think it makes any sense.
No, it absolutely doesn't. And it's there was something you mentioned a minute ago that I was going to touch base on. I lost my train of thought. No, it doesn't make sense. And I know quite a few owner operators. I know a lot of company guys, and that doesn't make sense from a standpoint of, like I just said, that's, for all intents and purposes, that's their hub. So you're still going to allow company drivers to PC to and from the hub. home to hub, or you know what I mean. But now you're gonna put your foot on the neck of owner operators. But hey, and there's another theory out there, man, that these big megas, they want the owner operators done. I mean, you see it happening all the time. They're pricing these guys out of the market. They're bringing all these guys on. They're running cheap freight. I mean, it's happening. So it just makes you wonder how. Yeah, I know I'm going all like tinfoil hat on you here, but it makes you wonder how deep some of this stuff goes.
Well, I mean, I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that comes with the feedback of doing taillights. I mean, it's part of the reason why we want to do these, why we want to go on here and go live, because there's, there needs to be more resources to that information, who's getting it out, and then also reiterating it and talking about it with actual drivers. I mean, that's the whole reason why we want to do the clubhouse. That's why I have my newsletter, because it's kind of like, I don't want to say, like, I think I lead the newsletter. Taillights it's definitely informational, but it's still from the driver POV. Like, so it's where I don't think it's I don't carry a bias towards it, because it's an apolitical newsletter. Like, it's not seeking the endorsement of certain narratives. All it is meant to be, it's meant to be informational from the driver POV, not the carrier POV, not the broker POV, from like the actual driver seat POV, because I think that's something that also gets lost in this industry. It's crazy because I think it gets lost. I have conversations with, there is a difference between driver and motor carrier, and I think people outside the industry don't see that as much. They think carriers are drivers, and in some cases they are, but even a driver as a carrier, if they're a single truck owner operator, is still going to think and do differently than just for regular drivers. There's obviously more drivers than there are carriers, so it's like, I think that perspective is some of the most important. It's some of the most important stuff to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think enough drivers out here feel like they have a voice in the industry, and there's obviously tons of platforms like yours. I've been on your podcast. There's other podcasts. I mean, you got Cents Per Mile with Gracie, and but I don't feel like, I think a lot of these guys get out here and they just feel trapped by all these, and that's I remembered what I was going to say a minute ago. You were talking about keeping safe by not changing laws. Your buddy had said the best thing that they could do to ensure safety out here is to stop changing laws, and that's I have to like fully agree with that, because if you look at it from a standpoint of how often laws are changed, and how often do safety departments bring these new SOPs in, or like make you aware of changes? It's left to the driver to stay on top of stuff like this, to make sure that they're aware of the laws and everything, which creates a safety issue. But I don't know. That was that was my 2 cents on that little tangent. But yeah, man, drivers out here, they don't feel like they have a voice. So I like this idea that you guys are doing here with Truck Parking Club. Getting guys on here, hearing from drivers.
How much information we got?
About 90 psi.
All right, let's go ahead and build it up to 120.
There we go. The rig's getting turned on.
We're going.
He's getting it fixed.
I hope so, man. I've been here 3 hours.
But actually, I mean, I guess I'll ask you the same question I asked to my friend Matt before we wrap this thing up. If there, you can't steal his answer. You got to pick one now. If there is one thing you can kind of change about the industry, like wave a wand, what's one thing that you would do right now to kind of solve it? And you also can't say fix the truck parking shortage, because that's a given. We're working on that. If there's one other thing, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you do to the industry?
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. Maybe not. I could be wrong. I think there needs to be more in-depth training, and potentially even maybe not screening of drivers out here. I think it's gotten too easy for anybody to get their CDL. I think you have a lot of emotionally immature people out here behind the wheel who are not safe drivers. It's stuff that I run into on a daily basis, and I'm sure there's tons of drivers out there that would agree with me. Is that at the top of my list? No. Is that you threw a bomb at me, you threw a grenade at me, and I'm just playing hot potato with it? Yeah, that's my answer. Um, I I can't talk to my wife about a lot of the stuff that happens out here because she freaks out. It scares her. Some of the stuff that I see, and you can attest to it. I'm sure anybody watching this could attest to it. The unsafe, just ridiculous. A lot of these guys, and what's scary is a lot of them are old school because a lot of them still run CBs. Um, and I'll hop on the CB after some dumb shit happens, and these guys are back talking shit, and I'm like, you've been doing this for how long? It's a blessing that you're still alive. Like it's a wonder you're still alive. Um, I don't think there's enough training out here, and I 100% think that now obviously you're not going to do a mental evaluation on anybody that gets a CDL, but I think companies need to really evaluate. I think I think companies during the interview process should be less worried about putting bodies in seats and more worried about just finding quality drivers. Um, I love the company I work for. There's no bullshit. They are all everybody that I have run into. They thoroughly screen everybody. They're not bringing riffraff on board. Um, there's not a bunch of kids running, and not that there's anything wrong with younger guys that have their CDLs, but there is an emotional maturity that comes along down the road. There's just a lot of unsafe guys out here, man. How you fix that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it comes to training and development, because I mean, I live under the system of, training never stops, so to speak. Like I'm always
Yeah.
always asking questions. I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I did, start a podcast in the first place when I was driving was to learn more. Like, okay, I can start this show and I can bring people on and talk to them and have these conversations, and then it's just another way to get feedback. And I think that's been one of the greatest things about. I mean, that's why I think that's why Truck Parking Club has been able to do what we've done, because if it's one thing, Evan, our CEO, and, Reed, our, head of marketing, have really made it a point to do, is to talk to drivers, like, and learn as much as they can and do that. And if the environment isn't calling for that, if the learning doesn't happen on the same side, then, you start to run into some issues. I think from the new driver perspective, there's I know before we hopped on the live, I told you, there's some organizations out there doing great work with that, like Next Gen in Trucking, who is it's almost like a form of graduated licensing where, people in high school are taking classes and they work their way into local jobs. And it's a form of graduated licensing. So that way, by the time they can even get into an OTR position, when they can get their interstate CDL at 21, they've already got 2 years of experience doing some of the, I'd say local driving is some of the harder. I think you have more room, but local driving, for what it's worth, I mean, you're doing a lot of time in cities, urban areas with tight corners. You're doing a lot of backing. You're moving a lot of docks, like you're moving a lot of trailers, different doors. And I'm a proponent of the idea of graduated licensing. And I know that I didn't have to go through such a thing, but I mean, I did have trailer backing experience in the military, in the Marine Corps. I did drive, I've driven some, trucks at the warehouse I had worked at. So it's like, I didn't have that form of training but I mean, it worked out all right. But I also entered the industry later. We are having young people get in the industry, but we're also having people who've gotten in the industry who don't even have much driving experience in the first place, like in a car, let alone a tractor trailer. And I think some of that stuff needs to go into account. Yeah, you don't want to just throw bodies at. You don't want to just throw bodies, butts and seats. We're not selling tickets to a Mets game. You want good quality in there. But yeah, training. No, that's a good highlight.
Check Rick said. Yeah, release the trailer.
There we go. Number one, big shout out to everybody jumping in the live right now. We got a lot of the fam on Twitter jumping in here. We got almost 100 people jumping in on this live. If you're, we'll give it another couple minutes here. Anybody got any questions out in the live stream? Drop a comment below. See what do you guys think about personal conveyance? Any breakdown stories you've got? I want to see if we got anybody who wants to chew us up in the comments or anything. But other than that, so what's that? Is the guy almost fixed? Is he almost all set with your? What's the status?
So I just lost. Somehow I got into the chat and I can't get out of it.
Let's build it back up to 100. What did it go down to? What did it go down to?
It's at 0 now.
Turn the key on.
That's gone. 90.
90.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and build it back up. Leave the trailer brakes release. Now leave it release. I want to make sure it builds up there and stays there. No other leaks.
Sorry, Mike. I'm back.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, how's it going? What's the status on the repair?
Just building it back.
Go ahead and pull down on the trailer. Do you have a trailer only brake?
Yeah.
Pull it down.
Just checking some things. Checking air pressure.
Yeah, I had a guy, I was actually at a receiver at a warehouse in Ohio once, and a guy had somehow ripped the electrical outlet off of the trailer. And he asked me if I had a spare. And what's funny is I didn't have a spare, but from that day forward,
It's down.
I did start carrying a spare of that electrical outlet because I did not know that was something that you can have a spare of.
Yeah.
Build up air.
I'm glad I found it.
I'll tell you, yeah, this was a fluke accident, man. Like I said, they just put new ones on when I took it in for a couple weeks back, and like I said, it was my fault. I knew it was. Oh, there you are. I lost you. I knew it was probably sagging a little too low, but I'd never had it happen before. So yeah, I jackknifed back it up and ripped it out. Yeah, he's about done. It looks like he's zip tying it now.
Well, I feel like that can happen with tanker because like you didn't jackknife your truck, but if the truck takes that tight of a turn, you just run the risk of getting the cables. Like your truck's
well, and that's the one thing about this tank versus the dry van is I can jackknife this thing well over 90 degrees and still be fine.
Yeah, you can get a good turning radius out of a tanker. Like if you need to make a tight turnaround, you could take that thing, a little bit past 90 to pull it.
Hey, I do want to real quick give a shout out if anybody out there is looking for a good company position to come work at Aqua Logistics out of Linton, Indiana. You do have to have 2 years, any sort of driving experience for 2 years. Pretty clean DVIR helps, but they are a awesome company. You can reach out to them on Facebook or they have a website, I believe it's aqualogisticsllc.com. Call up, ask for Tabby. And we're looking for drivers around Chicago, around Indianapolis. We've got a hub down in Fort Wayne. We've got hubs down in Florida. We've got hubs in Allentown, PA, and West Virginia currently. So anybody interested in making a change, give them a call. I've been here going on 3 years, and it's a great company.
Dude, that's awesome. And so they're even down in Florida too. That's a good
stuff.
And like you said, you're mainly regional.
Yeah, I'm dedicated. Yeah. Regional, and I'm still one of the only guys that is willing to stay out all week. So they will put me on runs to like Florida, up to New York, things like that periodically, as they're building different locations. But yeah, it's pretty much I just run my routes and I go home, man.
Yeah, that's not bad. And so you would need a tanker endorsement to get over there.
You do need a tanker endorsement. It's clean work. It's all spring water. I know a lot of these when I first started running with Aqua Logistics, we ran power for Keenan Advantage Group, and it was all chicken fat for dog food, which I loved. Chicken Crisis. I think that's how you and I met on TikTok. But they got out of it, so now it's very clean work. You're in clean facilities. You load and offload all your own tanks, and yeah, you're not getting filthy. You're not dealing with chemicals or anything like that. It's very clean, good pay, good miles. So,
dude, you can't beat that. So Aqua Logistics, if you guys are jumping in, there you go. You got a good company hiring out of the Midwest. But hey, man, yeah, I didn't want to take too much of your time. Like I said to everybody out there jumping in on the Clubhouse. Number one, again, hope you're having a safe holiday weekend. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. Again, we're gonna be here every week. I think next week, I think we'll be running it back at 7:30. Chris, would love to have you on sometime. I feel like Monday nights are going to be the best, especially for guys who are out there over the road.
Call me whenever.
And again, before we sign off, I just want to let everybody know. So Chris Tackett, he's partnered with us at Truck Parking Club. He's out there, really helping us with the mission. He talks to drivers, lets them know he's helping them out with,
I gotta hop out. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, go for it. So Chris has partnered with us. He helps, promote Truck Parking Club, in our partner program. And because he believes in the mission, we just talked for the past 50 minutes about the truck parking crisis for the most part, and obviously the cost of it. You have groups that are looking to crack down PC. That's going to make it worse. You have all these other groups working against it, and we're people who are working against it. So he's partnering with us. If you're the same way, if you're out there, if you're connected with a lot of drivers, if you make content, especially if you're out there and you want to help. And you truly believe in your heart that you want to leave the industry better than you found it, drop me a line. My email is lombard@truckparkingclub.com. My phone number and everything is dialed in there. You can reach out to me at any time. We're looking to work with a lot of people, especially if you want to come on to the clubhouse and talk and jive, and we can just talk trucking for 45 minutes. That's what we're looking to do. But
no, my son at home this week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Before we sign off, Chris is getting his thing fixed. I wanted Chris Tackett to let the live viewers know where they can find him.
So you guys, you can actually check. Hey, say hi. Hey, say hi to my repair guy, everybody.
Hello. Yeah, there he is.
I'm on live with my buddy's company. No, you can check me out on TikTok at King Volvo. I do have that podcast I was talking about. It's called The Jungle on YouTube. Or just look me up on Facebook, Christopher Tackett.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, thanks, boss.
See you next time.
Yeah. Those are about the only social medias I'm on. I had a troll account under Pete Buttigieg that I used to troll Lombard on, but I got rid of that. So
oh, I love it. Man, we're ending just on time. Your repair is fixed.
Hit the brake. Just hit the foot brake. Shouldn't that ABS light come on?
No. If it's got pressure, it goes off.
Okay.
It only pops on when my pressure's low.
Some manufacturers do that different, and it was on there a minute ago and had me concerned.
It probably dipped on the pressure.
You're good with the way it's
it'll pop on if it gets low. Thanks, brother. Hey, hopefully I don't see you for a couple of weeks again.
I like it. It's kind of a relationship we got going on here. Right. So I don't mind it.
I don't mind. Have a good one, brother. Thank you. Stay safe.
Dude, I love it. So we're signing off just in time as your repair gets fixed. But I did want to give a quick shout out to James, who talking about how even back in 2007 he was having a hard time finding parking, and it's only gotten worse since, especially with the rise of the ELD and all these PC issues. But dude, Chris, appreciate you jumping on, man. We'll be talking. Like I said, if you're free Monday nights, we'll have you jump back on.
If you give me an hour, 2 hours heads up so I can find some safe parking, and I will happily hop on. I apologize that I had all this going on, man. I would have probably been a little more with it had I not. So.
Oh no, all good, man. That's what the clubhouse is all about. It's supposed to be real life, It's unscripted, just basic, unscripted. We go at it. Again, it's also good for the 100+ people who are watching live to see, oh, look, this guy's out. He's getting freaking. These are real problems drivers face every day, and you're working through it. And what better way to work through it than with friends?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, dude. We're gonna wrap this up. Once again, guys, if you need truck parking, go to truckparkingclub.com. You can use the code, by the way. You can use the code all lowercase Gorilla20. And you can get $20 off your next booking or your first booking if you happen to sign up and get the app. But with that, guys, we are out of here. Drive safe, travel safe, keep the rubber side down.